Hello and welcome to Making Mediumship the Norm, the podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Espinasi, known as New Zealand's modern medium, and I have been very privileged over the years to connect thousands of people to their loved ones in spirit, whether that be through one-on-one readings to my sellout Whispers from Above shows. I'm excited to be able to bring you this podcast where together we are going to be bringing mediumship into the everyday homes, the everyday hearts, and everyday conversations. Whether you are here seeking solace after the loss of a loved one, needing guidance on your life's journey, or simply you have a curiosity to explore the mysteries of the universe, the Making Mediumship the Norm podcast is here to support you. My intention with each episode is to help you bridge the gap with life beyond this earth. So without further ado, let's tap into today's episode. Curious Seekers, I am so excited to welcome you to this episode. I have been hanging out to talk about this for so long, and the fact that you are now tuning into this, I'm like, yes, the world is ready to hear this stuff. So it is my birthday, April the 8th, and as far as I know, in 2024, there's a big eclipse happening on my birthday. There's going to be a lot of revelations that are going to start unfolding in 2024. So I kind of just wanted to jump in and share what I've been told through my channelings. So as a medium, one of the things that you will learn after you've kind of developed channeling your loved ones is that you're going to be able to channel other consciousness beings. So other beings from different dimensions, from different cosmoses, all of that kind of stuff. And it gets so interesting when you start to venture into these other levels of divine intelligence beings. So for me, I have been working with one of my guides very closely, and that is John the Baptist. Now, if you've ever been one of my students, or if you've ever had the opportunity, many moons ago, I used to do trance with John the Baptist, and I would, allow him to speak through me, and I would just kind of go into a little part of my mind and just kind of let it happen, and my students would ask questions and all of that kind of jazz. Now, it came to be understood that I was a child of his in his lifetime as John the Baptist. The only thing is that I was a stillborn. And so John the Baptist and I, we have this little bit of a twisted game that we play in our lives where we get to be in each other's lives, but it's always in a different dimension. So just like in his life as John the Baptist, he got to love me, but I was his spirit baby. And now in this lifetime as Melissa, I get to love John the Baptist, but he's my spirit guide. So there are many multiple roles that we can play with our soul families, our soul tribes, and this is the one that John the Baptist and I play. And we have many lifetimes together, and we have a very close relationship where I fully have trusted his guidance and his wisdom, and he's always been pretty bang on the money, let me just say. So a few years ago, I was with one of my girlfriends and my mom, and this was when the world was kind of locked down, and we wanted to know a little bit about what was going on, what was going on in the world. Was this the end of the world? Was there going to be an apocalypse? We wanted to know because we were, of course, and we still are, unjuiced, and we just wanted to know how to navigate this beyond the narrative that was being spun for humanity. And so much came from these sessions that we used to do. I think we used to do them just once a month or quite regularly because we were like, oh my goodness, now they're saying this, now they're saying that. And so it was just what we did. We hung out with John the Baptist, and we had all sorts of other people. I think Mary Magdalene came in one of them, and just all sorts. And this is what gets to happen for all of you when you develop your own ability to channel. So this is why I recommend for all of you to do my Reunited program, because once you do Reunited, you become a Reunited alumni and you can do all future rounds for free. And it is amazing. And I will literally teach you how to channel so that you can also check in on this information for yourself. So in this particular session, John the Baptist was sharing a whole bunch of things. And I'll share a few of these things with you now. So he mentioned about rock people. And I was like, what? Rock people. So it is my understanding that this earth has multiple living, or how can I explain it? Multiple living species, beings, I don't really know what to call them, on earth. And one of these beings are people, or is a society, or like I don't know what we call humans, but like we're humans. Well, there's an equivalent of humans that are like rock people. And he was saying to us about how, these rock people are a civilization and what they do. And I was just like, this is whack. Like, what the actual, this is just insane. Because to me, right, I was very naive. I kind of just believed everything that was being told in the world. And though my intuition is very strong and I always listen to actually, no, that's a bit of a lie. I don't always listen to my intuition. But when it matters, I listen to my intuition. Sometimes I'm a bit of a rebel. But in instances where it's kind of like a life or death situation or something to do with harm, like I'm always going to listen. And so when he was talking about these rock people and how they're a civilization and how they've been living on earth and they're eventually going to come out and we're just going to see these rock people. And I actually feel there will be people listening to this who may have actually seen these rock people. So they don't look like humans. They don't look like rocks either. They just live within the rocks. And so this kind of made me feel like those that are like the flat earthers and all of that kind of stuff, that they may be onto something, that there are definitely aspects of earth that we don't actually know, and that we're relying on information that are in textbooks or in videos that were being shown and etc., that we then believe is the truth and what we exist in. But it's not. And that's what's so whack, right? It's like there's so much truth that's going to eventually reveal itself as the years go on. And people are just going to be so blindsided by how they've lived their life and what they've believed. And so this was the start of the conversation. These rock people. I was like, okay, great. These rock people are going to come out and they're not here to harm us. They're just a different vibration than us. And so there's this whole other world on earth that is like beyond the rocks. So I couldn't quite understand if it meant like in the mantle of the rock, of the earth, or what. But anyway, there's another species, there's another world. And this kind of got me thinking of like the movie Ice Age. Well, it's not really a movie, it's like a cartoon, right? And they go into a cave, and then there's like this other world, and there's like dinosaurs, and it's like, okay, they've been telling us that there are other worlds. We just think it's a cute little cartoon. Like they've already been telling us, because they actually have to, from the law of karma, disclose to us all agendas. And you just think it's all fun and game movies. You think, oh, that's kind of cool. Independence Day, all of those things. You think those are cool, but no, they're disclosing to us the world that we live in, as well as the world beyond. So then he went on to say that the sun is a portal. And I was like, what? The sun is a portal. So the sun is not actually the sun. Oh, and this is also something really interesting that he said about the sun, is that there are currently two suns. There is a fake sun that they are kind of like working that they're projecting onto us. And then there's the real sun that is like a portal. And you know how you've seen in movies, like let's think The Fifth Element, one of my favorite movies with Bruce Willis. And they are in the spaceship and then they kind of like, like go into a really fast, Milky Way kind of thing. It's like, well, I kind of imagine the sun being like that, somewhere where you just kind of go into a different dimension. So anyway, the sun is a portal. There's a fake sun. And have you noticed how the earth has been heating up? Like, especially here in New Zealand, like our sun has been so brutal, and it's actually because it's not the real sun. And you think that there's global warming? Honey, it's all, I'm going to let you find your own way with that, but let's just plant seeds, and you can go and investigate for yourself. But I don't believe in the narrative of global warming, but I do believe there is a hidden agenda as to why this is being spun, and the fake sun is part of that. Now, if you didn't already know, they can actually manipulate our weather. And you know how you see airplanes spraying things in the clouds and they leave these big white trails in the sky? They're manipulating our weather, and they can manipulate also natural disasters and all sorts of things. So when John the Baptist said to me that there are two suns and the sun is a portal, I was like, I'm just going to take your word for it. And he did talk about how this fake sun is to try and rob us from the nutrients that we normally actually get from the actual sun's rays. And if you think about it, this second fake sun actually came into our atmosphere when the world was locked down. Interesting. Most people were indoors. They can't see. They weren't allowed outside. So interesting. I didn't actually realize this episode was going to go like this, but here we go. We're rolling with it. So the sun's a portal. You can travel to and fro. It's like pretty epic on the inside. I was like, wow, okay, this is awesome. And then he went on to say that the moon is an airport. And this is what I really want to share with you, because I was like so mind blown. Now, think of an airport just the same as we have airports here on Earth. The moon is an airport. It's like a transit space between the universe and Earth. And what happens is when people have like alien abductions, they get taken to the airport. They get taken to the moon. They get taken there and things happen, and it's like this halfway house between like literally Earth and the universe. It is so fascinating. And I'm going to share this with you because there is a movie that kind of explains this. And this movie is called Moonfall. And I have recommended this movie to as many people as I can, because I'm like, you have to watch Moonfall. It explains like how the moon is an airport. And I absolutely love that movie because it just gives us a different perspective. It gives us a different look at what could actually be out there. And so there are many spaceships that enter Earth, and you have different beings that are coming and entering the Earth's atmosphere. And so like an airport, you're coming in, you're coming out, you're checking in, you're doing all the things. So Men in Black people, not so much a movie. Okay? I'm like, this should just come with full disclosure. Like, if you want to know the truth about the world, here you go. Listen to this episode. I'm going to just take a side note and just say, for those of you who don't believe the Men in Black and the stuff that they're doing, I want you to go and get your hands on the book Stardust Ranch. Amazing. This book will open up your mind. I can't remember who it's by, but it's like a biography. Amazing. amazing. I don't recommend that you read it at nighttime because it's a little bit scary, but I do recommend that you find Stardust Ranch and then you come and tell me about the Men in Black. Now, they've been telling us this. Airports. The moon is an airport. Now, I don't want to spoil too much about the movie Moonfall, but what I loved about it is that it showed the moon being hollow. And now we feel, or we are told, that the earth itself is a particular structure. And like when John the Baptist told me about the rock people, told me about the sun being a portal, he told me about the sun being, well, not just me, but my mum and my girlfriend, that the moon is an airport, I was just like, I have to be absolutely nuts to be channeling this stuff, because to me, this was never something in my awareness. It wasn't something that I ever sat down and went, oh, I wonder what the moon is. Like, I couldn't give a rat's ass about what the moon is. Like, I've got better things to do with my time than just sit there and wonder, what is the moon or what is the sun? But what I found so interesting is after I got down that download, I think maybe a year or two later, the movie Moonfall came out, and I was like, oh my God, this is what John the Baptist was saying. And so, like all things, they have to disclose to us, right? Because there's going to be a lot of revelations. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to come out. And for some of you, you're going to be like, thank you. I wasn't crazy. I've known about this a long time, or I was shown this in a vision or whatever. Like, people do go missing. People do have experiences where they are abducted and then they come back. Like, those things do happen. And where do those people go? Like, they have to go somewhere. And so the moon is an airport. Isn't that interesting? So in the movie Moonfall, they also showed what consciousness is like and what it's like when energy is communicating with energy. And I really love this because it's so hard to sometimes explain how mediumship works and how beyond physical bodies, how we're communicating, how we're evolving. I loved how in this movie it shared as well a lot about our history and our DNA and all sorts of things. I don't want to spoil it, but I highly recommend you go and watch it. It's so good. I want to say kind of like, you know, you're getting this juice of what the moon is, or a little bit of a perspective of what the moon could be. I want to say maybe about an hour and a half into the movie. So first you've got all the action and all the things that happen. But yeah, when they go to the moon, holy moly, there is so much there. And also in the movie, there is an AI intelligence that is, how can I say this without trying to spoil two things? But you're just going to have to trust me on it. There's a foreign AI that is trying to eradicate, let's say, or infiltrate the running of the moon, let's just say. And what is really interesting about that is AI technology can only go so far. And I said this to my reunited students a few nights ago, is one of the most sought after skills that you will ever possess is your ability to channel. Just like I channel stuff all the time. I'm like, okay, what do I need to know? What wisdom do you want to share with me? Just like when John the Baptist shared all these things with me. And trust me, there's been so much, but this was something I just wanted to share with all of you guys, just to kind of open your mind up a little bit about how we actually travel within the space dimensions and how, you know, things are kind of monitored a little bit. But what I said to them is AI technology will never be able to channel. So AI technology can replace you as a person in terms of like your job, and we're seeing that already. So many more jobs don't exist anymore because they've been replaced by some form of technology. Soon accountants will be obsolete because you'll have accounting things that can just do all the things, or teachers will be obsolete because you'll just be able to learn, off a computer. Like there's just so much, right? Things are shifting. But what will become the most sought after skill is your ability to channel consciousness, because that is something AI technology cannot do. And I really loved how Moonfall illustrated this. Did they get it all correct? I don't feel that they necessarily want to give us all of the details, but they want to at least disclose to us the possibilities. And so I have really come to understand that there is a whole lot more out there in terms of these dimensions. And even though I work with 5D consciousness and I'm like, there's no dimensions at all because it's all one dimension, we do have these physical dimensions that we are able to go into for our growth and evolution and understanding of being consciousness. And I just really love how Moonfall talked about this. So it's like, yes, finally something that is a bit different, something that is showcasing just possibilities that are not within our human stories or narrative that we have been spun. So when I got all of this, it was kind of trippy. I mean, you can imagine, right? I've lived my whole life thinking the thing I'm looking at out there is the moon, right? Did we even land on the moon? Like there's so many theories about whether we did or didn't land on the moon. And it's like, why do we only ever see one side of the moon? Like there's just so many questions. And to understand that the moon isn't what we think it is, that's where I feel the consciousness shift starts to happen. Just the same as you think the sun is the sun, but is it? You think stars are stars, but are they? Like it just starts this whole investigation in your own mind where you're like, oh my gosh, what do I actually not know? What have I been told and made to believe this whole entire time? Like there's just so many things that I'm like, how does humanity not know this? And it's so amazing to be able to have direct access to consciousness and different beings that can give you this kind of insight. And that's what I do. And that's what I teach people to do. And this is how we're going to shift consciousness, is if we stop being so naive and having our blinkers on and just, being so narrow-minded on things that we're reading and things that we're watching and just taking it as fact. And that's why so many people are being fooled, are being taken advantage of, because they're not thinking for themselves. And so I hope that this episode gets you thinking, has gotten a little curiosity inside of you where you're like, what? This chick is whack. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I was there a few years ago when I thought the same. And now I'm like, not so wacky now. So it might take you a hot minute. But what will start to happen is you'll start to now have people come into your awareness that are going to either verify this, or that are also going to be starting to talk about things that you're like, oh my goodness, okay, this could be a possibility. Now, I am not saying that the stuff is true. I believe it is, because that's what I channeled and that's what I've been told. And so far, everything that I've channeled has kind of come true. So I'm going to believe it. But you have the choice to decide for yourself. And I feel watching the movie Moonfall will help you to just unpack things a little bit, make you just be open to seeing things from a different perspective. And all of the movies that you've been watching, I mean, look at The Simpsons, for goodness sake, how they've been able to predict all of this stuff that's going to happen. It's because this narrative, there's been this agenda, there's been this plot that's already been mapped out yonks ago of how it's all going to unfold for humanity. The technology has already been here. Do you think that it's only just coming now? No. Everything that is happening for a specific reason that is part of a plan. And the greatest thing that I can do for humanity is to help you wake up so that you don't get caught up in the plan to, how can I put this nicely? So that you just don't get caught up in the plan and that you get to ascend and stay a sovereign being. That is ultimately my deepest wish for each and every single one of you. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you've heard about other things. I know I haven't focused on any other planets or all that kind of stuff because that was what I got in this particular channeling. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from here on in terms of worldly developments. So I would absolutely love for you to continue to stay curious, continue to stay open, and continue to stay, what's the word? What's the word I want to use? I want you to be able to continue to stay awed. Okay? And don't be surprised that what you think you know isn't actually what is real. And that's the mind trickery of the 3D, isn't it? And the story that we've all been spun for humanity. So that's what I've got for you, folks. Enjoy. Let it percolate. See what other wonderful insights and gems you can acquire from your guides, from your spirit teams. And don't be afraid to share it with the world, because now's the time where we are creating great change. And people need to be shook up a little bit. People need to be woken up. So here we go. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. I want to express my utmost gratitude for having you joining me on this journey in making mediumship the norm. As we together continue to explore the depths of the spiritual realm, I ask if you could please leave a 5-star review for the podcast. Your feedback and your ratings not only brighten up my day, but they also help others to discover the podcast so we can truly bring mediumship into the everyday homes and conversations. And if you're ready to dive in deeper and want to work with me and see what possibilities await you, I encourage you to book in a reading with me or to check out the Soul Love Academy. Thank you so much for being part of this incredible journey in making mediumship the norm. I can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. Until then, remember that you are a gift to the world. Together we awaken, together we align, and together we ascend. Love always, Melissa Espinasi. Mwah!